Hey folks, Amber Bradaway here. Great to see you again. It is another glorious day in March. Today I am with Todd Doman, who is our slip maintenance manager, and we are over near what we call the V shop. It is the vehicle maintenance shop, and it's located between Last Chance and Moonbeam. On the other side of us is Easy Street and Link, and this is where all of our fleet maintenance happens for all our cats, our small machinery, as well as our vehicles. And so really important place. And Todd here and his crew, really important crew. So Todd, you've been with us, this is your second winter?
Second season back, right?
Second season back, that's right. You were here before.
I was, yeah.
Awesome.
Years ago.
Okay. So we were just talking, Todd and I, before we rolled the camera. Todd, tell us about some of the team members you have and how long they've been grooming.
So we did some quick math. We have over 100 years of experience between the crew. We've got a couple of longtime cat operators, winch cat operators. Some shout outs to be Jason Morley, Brad Callister, Brian Hoyer. These guys have been in the winch, just killing it. Bob Zarski on swing shift. Yep. And then for graveyard shift, we've had Dylan Gore, John Green. Those are some of our long-time operators. Dylan's been winching quite a bit, helping us out in the graveyard shift.
Yeah.
So.
And we met Dylan, I think my first winter here, we did a snowmaking grooming blog, and Dylan was in that. Dylan's literally grew up here, but this crew that Todd just talked about, we're so lucky that we have a crew of such experienced and skilled operators here. And so one of the things we wanted to do today is just talk a little bit about grooming. You know, we have in the past heard some feedback about, hey, you know, what's going on with this? How come we're not grooming that? And so what I thought we'd do today, number one, I personally think the grooming this year is just off the charts.
Thank you.
It has been tremendous. I'm so impressed with all of the trails we've been grooming, the commitment to some of these more challenging trails. But I also thought today we could just use this as an opportunity to learn a little bit more about what goes into, you know, these are, the ski industry has a lot of what I call wizards behind the curtain. And they're just people you just don't see because of the nature of where they work. And a lot of the hard work at a resort happens after hours. So we shut our lifts down somewhere between 4 and 5 o'clock, and your team comes alive, right?
Sure, yeah. And that's not only, us being here at the V shop is great because we have it's a day crew. We're separated financially and everything, but the team that works in the shop to keep these things maintained and working is really, they're stars behind us also.
Yeah.
We've had very little breakage this year and just really great maintenance, and that helps us.
Yeah. And that's a great shout out. So what he's talking about is the team here in vehicle maintenance under MJ or Michael Johnson and his crew, Jacob. We're going to get them in front of cameras too. They deserve it. Again, the same wizards behind the curtain. So tell us a little bit about how many cats do we have?
So we constantly run, I'd say it's about 7 free cats a night, and we're running 3 winch shifts. And we would like to, my wish list is another winch, so we could run another.
Yes,
another
everybody has a wish list here.
But we're right. So the free cats obviously cover the acreage. They do the lower areas we call the football field, the main of Eagle. They do the sunrises. They do the majority of Summit.
Can you explain to our guests what is a free cat? What's the difference between free and winch?
Sure. The free cat is this behind us is a free cat we're using daily on both shifts. So this runs approximately 15 hours a night. Okay. And our other free cats do as well. The winch cat has a cable on it. The cable helps the winch pull up the hill. Okay. So our really steep runs, our diamond lanes, our sunshine bowls, our Gary's Glades, the things that Solitude skiers just absolutely love.
Yeah.
Inspo Challenger, those are all winch cat runs. Okay. We've moved into winching things like Liberty, which we need a snatch block for to get around the new tower lift. Okay. Broadway at Summit, those are our main.
Yeah. So the winch is you take this cable, it's a really long cable, you hook it up to an anchor point.
Yes. And
then that allows the cat to go up and down on the cable attached to an anchor and do a lot of pushing snow uphill. Is that correct?
Yes, pushing and just climbing also the super steeps.
Okay. Yes. So that's what we use on primarily most of our steep terrain. And that's pretty common in the industry. You'll hear a lot of us talk about how important it is to be aware, particularly when we started to allow uphill travel in the evenings. And that's why we have designated routes, is to keep people away from the areas where we winch.
Yeah, important.
So there's just a lot of tension, and that cable sometimes can move pretty quickly, right?
The cable does move. Surprisingly enough, around the cat is a safer area than say by where the anchor is,
Okay.
because the cable will move more where the anchor is and it will by the cat.
Yeah.
But right, I mean, clear around any heavy equipment is always, the move to make.
Now you used a term called a snatch block.
Yeah.
So what is that?
So snatch block, we'll use, the winch has an anchor. A snatch block can have an anchor, and then the cable goes around it and switches directions.
Okay. And what does that do? What's the value of that?
So in the case of Liberty, where we've been using a lot, it allows us to get around that new tower. So the new summit tower is kind of in the middle of Liberty.
Yeah.
So it allows us to get around that tower, still have that run, keep the lift safe, machine safe.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. This is something new I learned this year. So let's talk a little bit about some of the trails this year. I think one of the trails that people have been really jazzed, I know I have, I was able to take my daughter, Aspen, she's 6, and we were able to go to Summit and we skied Honeycomb Canyon because Woodlawn, which is the run that is in the canyon floor, was groomed. What's going on there? It's been amazing this year to see that trail. So
cool. It's actually, I mean, it's always been something they did. I just love it so much. I want it to be a ski run. And my idea behind it was exactly that. It was, Kim, she wouldn't want to maybe ski the head wall and ski all the powder and honeycomb, which some of us love, right? Yes. Yeah. Which some of us love, but she would love to cruise down the valley floor and check it out. And that's exactly it. The kids, anybody who doesn't want to ski the powder can get in there, still enjoy that terrain because it is stunningly beautiful. It is so beautiful. Yeah. And you guys are getting in there a couple times a week? So, right. My goal is to have it, and hopefully next year I've got the crew to do it, is to have it as a daily groomer. But right now we've been in there at least 4 times a week, usually 5. Okay. So another thing we've talked about this year is we've seen Sundancer groomed, and that's the one that goes kind of under the eagle lift. And so tell us a little bit, part of why that we couldn't groom that as much last year was just the snow depth. So talk to us a little bit about first shift, second shift, and like decisions you make on what you groom first shift or second shift, how weather can play into that. And then also it's just sort of things that you're dealing with weather. One of the things people ask about is how come Diamond Lane took so long to get groomed? Yeah. And so how does first shift, second shift, weather over the course of the night, as well as snow dips, impact your decision for what you groom that night? Sure. Well, it's the Rocky Mountains, so it takes some snow to fill in, and Utah has light, fluffy snow. We love to ski, but it doesn't compact too much. Okay. So it takes us longer to get into some terrain than other terrain. The case with Diamond Lane early this year was our windiest place in the mountain is actually Apex. So between Apex and the old Powderhorn Shack, where Patrol is now, that ridge is the windiest place in the mountain. So with the storm that allowed us to open up most of our lower terrain, actually stripped and blew all that snow blew into the cirque on the backside of Diamond Lane, and Diamond Lane just didn't have enough coverage. Yeah. It was only a couple of weeks after that storm that we got to it, after we got some more snow. But depth, I mean, these machines are heavy, 20,000 plus pounds. Just backing up the depth there meant because it was so wind blown at the bottom, it just, in the rocks, you couldn't groom it. Yeah. It would just tear up it would just make it worse. So you first of all, you're damaging very expensive equipment. Yeah. Second of all, you are very expensive. Yeah. Second of all, you are if you put a whole bunch of dirt into the snow, like if you're tilling something that's really dirty, if you put a whole bunch of dirt into the snow, it melts faster, it doesn't stick around. Okay. And then you fight it the whole year long. Right. That's all there is to it. Yeah. There's some places, you kind of have to fight it, but when you don't have to fight it, you just stay away from it. Okay. Right. Sundancer last year, the new lift is way taller. Okay. So we can get a cable underneath there safely, no problem. Okay. And we're able to winch that, make that into a ski run. That's another area. Our summer road there is a little thin. We get a little brown on top sometimes, but don't get discouraged. Right underneath it, it is just a great, amazing groomer. Yeah. And then just talk about first shift, second shift. Sure. How do you make decisions? Do you groom it? Sometimes you're thinking about, do you groom it early in the night or later in the night? How that impacts the quality? Well, right now it's easy. Okay. Starting in a couple of weeks, so the sun comes out, April, end of March, and into May, it's not so easy. Okay. As the snow gets hot, you kind of want to groom things. So the saw, for example, we're going to start grooming on early shifts. Access west. Right. Okay. So it sets up. Yep. Because you can go down the saw. Anybody who's skied here knows saw gets moguled up pretty fast. If we groom it on graveyard shift, it's still soft when the public comes in, and the public can mogul it up pretty fast. Yeah. But if we groom it on swing shift, it has more time to set up. Okay. So that's the first shift. Right.
Okay.
Right. And that's one of the examples we're going to start to move into, because the saw is all sun exposure.
Right.
So we're moving into the difficult times where you got to make those decisions.
Right.
But as of right now, Eagle area gets groomed on swing shift, early shift, and then the Sunrise, Summit, and Main Street get groomed on graveyard shift.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, is there a difference between the snow that's like natural snow and man-made snow?
Oh yeah. Yeah, man-made snow has a lot more water content and
Okay.
sticks around a lot longer. So all that skiing nobody likes to do in the early season, the ice coasty skiing. And,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, but that is our base.
Yeah.
And it lasts longer. So if we want to ski later into the year, we need to have that base. And early season, right, it's icier conditions. It's
Yeah.
not as good as skiing, but it is important for longevity of the ski season.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess one of the things I always think about when it comes to the work that you and your team do is just like there's a lot more science, engineering, physics, chemistry. There's just a lot that goes into the decisions you're making and how that impacts the quality of surface we put out. And I sometimes think that, that's not always easy to explain to everybody, but it's really nice to get at least like a quick rundown of the decisions you guys are making on a daily basis.
Right. Well, I think a lot of what we have right now is experience. Did we talk about, we have like over 100 years of experience in this crew.
Right.
And that makes for people making wise decisions.
Yep.
And that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
You can look at something and say, I'm not going to go into there because, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to not do a good job.
Right.
Or, this is a winch tonight. You know what I mean? So we've got to make those decisions sometimes. Liberty is another example of that. It can be free catted, but it's better quality when it's a winch. And if it's snowed, it's, it's decision making.
Yeah.
And having the crew with the experience, they're making good decisions right now.
Right.
And I'm glad we did this because they deserve a shout out.
They do. Again, awesome. Solitude is really lucky to have such an incredibly skilled group of individuals, many of whom have been either here for a long time or they've been grooming for a long time. And that's just clutch when you're trying to put out the best product for all of you. So Todd, really appreciate it. Big shout out, big thanks to you and your team. So what's coming up next? I'm so excited that I can finally officially talk about Red Bull Cascade. So Solitude will be hosting this incredible event. It's going to be the last week of March. It's the 29th and 30th. It's really unique. This is a free ride event. Bobby Brown is a well-known free ride athlete, and he came up with this concept. It's a top to bottom event that comes from the top of Powderhorn. It's going to go kind of into the Powderhorn Cirque there, which is skiers' right of Diamond Lane. It's going to have natural features, and then it's going to have some hand built. So it's kind of like where free ride goes from the natural big mountain kind of feel and then into the terrain park. So top to bottom, from the top of Powderhorn all the way down to the main Last Chance. There'll be some great viewing areas, particularly down in that Last Chance area. They're going to have kind of a signature event or signature feature that you can watch. And, we're so thrilled. We haven't ever done anything like this. And we know that Solitude just has some awesome terrain. So we hope you guys will come out again, March 29th and March 30th, and it's going to be incredible. So thank you, folks. I'll see you in a couple weeks.